Someone gives you advice, and even though it's probably good advice, something inside you just resists. They tell you the exact thing you were already planning to do, and suddenly you don't want to do it anymore. Sound familiar? Most people write this off as stubbornness or a control issue, but what if this reaction isn't a personality flaw at all? What if it's actually revealing something much more interesting about how your mind works? Psychology and neuroscience reveal that people who hate being told what to do share specific cognitive patterns that set them apart from the general population. In this video, you'll discover 5 distinct traits that explain this resistance and why they're often linked to higher intelligence and deeper self-awareness. Some of these might actually validate feelings you've had your entire life. Stay until the end because the final trait completely reframes what this behavior really means. Psychology identifies something called locus of control, which measures whether someone believes they control their own destiny or external forces do. People who resist being told what to do typically have what researchers call a strong internal locus of control. Their brains are fundamentally wired to believe that outcomes depend on their own choices and actions, not on following someone else's script. When someone issues a command or even well-meaning advice, it creates an instant conflict. The brain essentially asks, am I succeeding because of my decisions or because I followed instructions? Research shows this isn't about ego. It's about maintaining a coherent sense of self-efficacy. These individuals have spent years building confidence in their own judgment, and external directives can feel like they're undermining that foundation. Here's what makes this trait valuable. People with strong internal locus of control take more initiative, persist longer through challenges, and recover faster from setbacks. They don't wait for permission or validation. If you experience this resistance, it's actually your mind protecting something essential, your belief in your own agency. And this connects to how these people process information differently. Research in cognitive psychology reveals something fascinating about people who hate being told what to do. They tend to be systems thinkers. Their brains don't just see the immediate task, they automatically map out the entire process, consider the ripple effects, and analyze how everything connects. This happens almost unconsciously. So when someone gives them a directive, especially a narrow one, their mind has usually already considered a dozen variables that person hasn't mentioned. The instruction feels incomplete, oversimplified, or disconnected from the bigger picture. It's not that they can't follow directions, it's that their brain is processing at a level that makes simple commands feel inadequate. Studies show systems thinkers excel in complex environments where following a rigid playbook fails. They adapt to changing conditions because they understand the underlying mechanics, not just the surface-level steps. They spot problems before they happen because they're always thinking 3 moves ahead. But here's the challenge. This same trait makes them incredibly frustrated when someone tries to reduce a nuanced situation to just do it this way. If this resonates with you, your resistance might be sophisticated pattern recognition pushing back against oversimplification. But there's another layer to this that most people never talk about. Neuroscience research shows that some people have stronger experiential learning patterns. Their brains are wired to trust knowledge that comes from direct experience, far more than knowledge that comes from being told. This isn't stubbornness, it's actually how their neural pathways have been reinforced over time. Think about it like this. Every time these individuals tried something themselves and learned from the outcome, their brain created strong connections between action and understanding. But when they followed instructions that didn't make intuitive sense to them, even if those instructions worked, the learning didn't stick the same way. Over thousands of repetitions, their brains learned a simple truth: experience teaches better than instruction. Behavioral psychology calls this learning style kinesthetic or experiential, and it's associated with deeper comprehension and better long-term retention. These people aren't being difficult when they want to figure things out themselves. Their brains literally encode information more effectively when they discover it rather than receive it. The resistance to being told what to do isn't about rejecting help, it's about honoring a learning process that's proven itself reliable through years of personal validation. If you need to try things yourself to really understand them, that's not a limitation, it's a different, often more thorough path to mastery. And this trait often coexists with something even more revealing. Here's where things get really interesting. Psychology reveals that people who hate being told what to do often possess what researchers call earned respect orientation. They don't automatically defer to authority based on titles, positions, or social hierarchy. Instead, they evaluate whether someone has actually earned the right to direct them through demonstrated competence, wisdom, or genuine care. This trait emerges from a specific cognitive pattern. These individuals analyze the why behind every what. When someone tells them what to do without explaining the reasoning, or the reasoning doesn't hold up to scrutiny, their brain flags it as arbitrary authority, power without legitimate foundation. The resistance isn't about being rebellious, it's about their mind demanding logical coherence before surrendering autonomy. Studies on leadership effectiveness show this trait actually predicts who will become innovative leaders themselves. These people push back on bad ideas regardless of who's presenting them. They question outdated systems. They challenge assumptions that everyone else just accepts. This can make them difficult employees under weak leadership, but exceptional performers under strong leadership that respects their need for understanding. If you find yourself bristling at "because I said so" or instructions that don't make sense, your brain might be protecting you from blindly following paths that haven't been properly justified. That's not defiance, that's critical thinking in action. But the most misunderstood trait might be the final one. Self-determination theory, one of the most well-researched frameworks in psychology, identifies three fundamental human needs: competence, relatedness, and autonomy. Research shows that people who intensely hate being told what to do have autonomy ranked as their primary psychological need, often even above connection or achievement. This isn't selfishness or antisocial behavior. Autonomy is about having control over your own choices and feeling authentic in your actions. For these individuals, being told what to do creates something psychologists call motivational displacement. Even if they were about to take that exact action voluntarily, the external command transforms it from something they chose into something they're complying with. The action is the same, but the meaning completely changes. Here's what most people miss. This trait correlates strongly with intrinsic motivation, the kind that drives long-term success and genuine satisfaction. People high in autonomy need don't require external rewards or validation to pursue their goals. They're self-starters, self-regulators, and self-correctors. They build careers and lives that reflect their authentic values rather than chasing someone else's definition of success. The cost is that they struggle in rigid, micromanaged environments. The benefit is that they thrive in situations requiring independence, creativity, and self-direction. If you've always felt suffocated by excessive oversight or rules that don't make sense, you're not broken. You're someone whose brain requires freedom to function at its best. That's not something to fix. It's something to honor by designing a life that provides the autonomy you need. If you recognize yourself in these traits, take a moment to really let this sink in. The resistance you feel when someone tells you what to do isn't a character flaw that needs correcting. It's emerging from a specific constellation of cognitive patterns: a strong internal locus of control, systems thinking, experiential learning preferences, earned respect orientation, and deep autonomy needs. These traits can make you difficult in certain environments, that's true, but they also make you capable of things that rule followers simply can't achieve. You trust your own judgment, you think in complex systems, you learn deeply through experience, you demand logical coherence, you stay true to yourself even under pressure to conform. Psychology reveals that people with these characteristics become the entrepreneurs who build new industries, the artists who create original work, the scientists who challenge paradigms, and the leaders who transform organizations, not because they're better than others, but because they're wired differently. They can't just follow the path, they need to forge their own. So the next time someone tells you what to do and you feel that familiar resistance rising, don't automatically assume you're being difficult. Ask yourself, is this resistance protecting something valuable? Is your mind pushing back for good reason? More often than not, it probably is. If you found this valuable, subscribe for weekly psychology insights that help you understand yourself and others at a deeper level. Understanding why you react the way you do isn't just intellectually satisfying. It's the first step towards building a life that actually works for how your mind operates. And that changes everything.